Hello ladies, I am back. I just went and set my timer for 13 minutes and 30 seconds, so I'll have a beep when I need to start wrapping up. Anyway, I wanted to quickly do Herlonda's tag about popularity. Quickly, I'll just share, I know I've said some of these things in other videos, but I guess to put it all in one place might be better. I started out, like many of you, watching videos before I made my channel, and I watched for quite a while actually, and Nicole is the first person I reached out to in terms of sending a message. I don't think I left comments under people's videos even prior to that because I didn't have a channel, I just was watching. And reached out to Nicole, and she was actually very encouraging in my making a channel. At the time, I only had one reborn, and you know, I of course prefaced my message with that I do have a reborn. I'm not a crazy woman. I just loved her channel so much, and I'm trying to remember who all I watched. I watched Herlonda early on because I loved her videos about, you know, setting up your nursery and caring for the babies, and she had all these great like how-to videos. I'm trying to remember other early channels I watched. I kind of then just would, you know, because things are recommended to you, they come up in your feed, and so that's how I found other ones. And yes, there are some popular channels, and I don't need to list them, we all know who they are. I don't actually watch a ton of those because I think the more popular one becomes, and I don't even know if this is just reborns, but I think the more popular you become, the more pressure there is to create like bigger and better videos. And I don't have time to make a video every day, let alone be editing and all the things they do with background music, and they're beautiful videos. I love them. I just don't, first of all, have the technological know-how, let alone the time to do it. And I realize some people do get paid. I mean, there are people that have, and I don't understand how that works. I don't know if it's subscription-based. I don't know if it's watcher-based. I don't understand how that works. I did at some point get a message saying to start monetizing my videos, and half the time I do and half the time I forget. I don't understand how all that works. In the reborn community, there are some quite popular channels, and I know some of them have commercials that you can't skip, so I think that's how you're paid. I'm not 100% sure, but that's not important. But anyway, so again, I reached out to Nicole, and we started messaging back and forth and sharing our stories with one another. And I haven't really shared a ton of my story. I will briefly say that I was a teacher for 5 years, and I was a nanny for over 20 years, so obviously children are very important to me. Once I finished my last huge nanny job, my husband and I had married, and then I left that job and was just being a stay-at-home wife. And then I have a parent consulting business, which many of you don't know. So I run a parent consulting business, and I have clients in the U.S. as well as in the U.K. And then I did do a 9-month nanny job, which was more of a family assistant job for a family. When I lived in Ohio, the mom, you know, did everything in terms of the children, running them around and taking them to school and stuff. I just came in the afternoon, I cooked dinner, did laundry. And there were some issues when I got hired that I found out about at my second interview. The dad filled me in, and so they did not know I was a parent consultant, so I told them I would observe everything for the first couple weeks, and we would sit down and have a conversation. So I was able to help them a lot in those 9 months, radically change their household. And then it was, that position was going to be ending. I didn't realize it at the time when I signed up to take the reborn class, But they moved to a different state, and then we moved anyway, so I would have left anyway. But the year before, so I had been told many years ago it would be very hard for me to have children, and then I had horrible fibroids before I went to Africa, and I was told I could have a procedure or I could have a hysterectomy, and I didn't really have the time to heal from a hysterectomy before my date for Africa, so I had the procedure and was told I could try to get pregnant, but it would be a miracle and be a lot of complications, whatever. Anyway, I did get pregnant, ended up miscarrying several months into the pregnancy, and was told I had to have a hysterectomy, and so had to go every few days for blood work to make sure my levels went down. I obviously spilled a bunch of birdseed. Make sure my levels were down to the levels where I could have surgery, and that took a few months, and then I had a hysterectomy. So I had found reborns probably about 12 years ago. Again, I was a doll collector all my life. I still have the baby I was given the day I was born, and then as I got to be when it got to be the age that was unacceptable to play with dolls, my mom got me my first porcelain doll, and so I started collecting porcelain dolls. And then at one point, there's a huge doll shop in Chicago, which is where I got a lot of my dolls. And then at one point, they started getting Lee Middleton dolls in, so I got myself a boy and girl ethnic twin Lee Middleton dolls. And then about 12 years ago is when I first had access to a computer full-time. I was a live-in nanny for a family, and I just typed into Google lifelike baby dolls and found reborns. But back then, there weren't a lot of kits. It was more like people were redoing Behringer dolls and stuff like that. And so I was fascinated. And so I would watch them. I'd go look on, once I knew they were reborns, I'd go on eBay, whatever. So that I looked at them for a while, never got one. And then after my hysterectomy, I started looking at them again. And that's how I found YouTube and started watching some videos, but that was much later. But I started looking at the dolls on eBay, and one night my husband saw he's like, "What are you looking at?" And I showed him, and I explained to him what they were and how I'd had a doll collection. I still have one of my porcelain dolls. I kept one, so he knew I was a doll collector. I'd explained to him that I sold it off to make money to go to Ethiopia. And so anyway, he said, well, I said, I'm looking at them again because of everything that's going on. He's like, well, why don't we get you one? So he got me my first one, which was a custom, kind of gone wrong, but I don't need to go into that right now. So anyway, and then I found Nicole's channel, and so I was communicating with her, shared my story with her in more detail than I just did, but I don't have time, and it's not important what brought me to this community, because this is about popularity. So anyway, I never made a YouTube channel to become popular. I more did it because I wanted to reach out to be there for other women who, even though I haven't really shared my story before, I think all of us have some kind of similar story, whether it's loss or you've had children that have grown up and you just loved having babies around. It doesn't really matter why you have them. I did it more so that if anybody ever wanted to reach out, like Nicole was there for me, I wanted to give back. And I have had some lovely messages from people asking questions, and I've been able to share things with them. And so I just think it's more about that than being popular. To be honest, I was never about popularity even in high school. I went to an all-girls high school, and as we know, in this community, in any community of all females, it can get very catty and very jealous. I don't know, I find women are a little more hard to deal with sometimes than men. And so I had friends in every group. I just was your friend if we got along. It didn't matter what you were a part of. And so I had friends in theater, friends in sports, friends who didn't do any extracurricular activities. I just was kind of a girl who was all over. I didn't narrow in on any certain group of people. And I feel I'm the same in this community. If we're friends, if we get along, we're friends. And if we don't, it's fine. I'm not looking for popularity. I will say that I never really paid attention to the subscriber. I mean, I get an email sometime, maybe all the time, that I have a new subscriber, but I just kind of delete those. Or I'll go look at that person's channel and then sometimes subscribe to them if they're reborn related, because I have some followers that aren't reborn related, and their topics aren't things I would watch. But anyway, comments to me are important. I feel if somebody takes the time to comment on my video, I owe them, and I'm not saying owe in a negative way, but they deserve to hear my reply. And again, I think if you get really popular, you just don't have the time to reply to all those comments. And I would rather keep my channel more cozy, so to speak. And but I will say that when I transitioned from, and I won't say from a collector to an artist because I still am a collector, but when I started painting, I did lose a lot of. And at that time, it was comments, I'll say. Comments disappeared. I didn't even know there was a like or dislike button until one day Nicole and I were having a conversation. I'm like, oh, there's a like button? So I then started, every time I watch somebody's video, I just like it because I'm like, I didn't know that was there. And so that kind of stuff I miss. And so unless somebody points it out to me, I mean, it's just like a few weeks ago I discovered, instead of what to watch and having all the recommended stuff, because as I said, my husband also watches YouTube and he watches history stuff and boxing. And so my what to watch feed is very mixed. And so I didn't know I could click on my subscribers and just see new videos. So I just found that a few weeks ago. So I'm not the most technologically advanced person. But I will say when I started painting, I did lose a lot of watches, and that's okay because not everybody's into the art of it. Some people are just into the collecting of it. And even the bird thing, I love birds. I have loved birds my whole life. My grandfather was a farmer and he had bird feeders all over in their yard, and I love watching birds. And so some of you may not like watching my bird videos, and that's okay. Again, I'm not looking for more people. I just want to be myself and share what I like. And if you happen to like it, that's great. I'm a very, I don't know what the right word is. Reborns aren't my life. I have so much going on in my life. I mean, I cross stitch, I crochet, I do a lot of crafts. I'm a homemaker. My house is immaculate at all times. I take great pride in my house. Decorating it, keeping it clean. I cook all our meals. We very rarely eat out. We have just recently started going out once in a while on the weekends, so I cook all our food and bake from scratch. Oop, there's my beep. I got a minute left, ladies. So anyway, so I'm just trying to share a little bit more about me. As you know, I'm into essential oils. So I'm a very well-rounded person. I'm not saying you're not. I'm just saying that I wanted to share more of me, which is why I showed the bird things. So anyway, ladies, I'm not in it for popularity. I'm just in it to connect with a few other lovely women who get along, and I'm looking forward to meeting those of you that are coming to the Rose Show. I'm so excited. I wish everybody could come, and it's going to be in Denver again next August, ladies, so save your pennies. Hugs, love, and blessings from Kimberly's Cocoon. Bye-bye.